The penguins were much more entertaining than the cast. In the first core, there is lots of mystery with the Gama Gama aquarium, though it never gets properly explained. It gives people visions based on their own personal issues. This leads to the mystery of Kukuru's lost twin sister, among many other nice reveals. This became the most interesting part of the series for many viewers. Sadly, they completely abandoned this for a long while, but kept shoving it in your face with the openings and endings as the viewers wonder why. For a slow-paced series, they sure inexcusably fail to properly develop their characters, who have potential to be so much better. Every filler-like episode was a waste of time that could have helped with this. Sadly, this is a series that can make you feel happy with all the irrelevance that goes on in it much of the time, but after the fact, it brings nothing meaningful or amazing. It's a treat of a series when I'm looking for something that is more like a main feast. Speaking of lack of character development, one is Kai, who became the love interest of Kukuru. Sadly, this childhood friend was abandoned by the writers and reduced to an irrelevant punching bag. Regardless, this wasn't even advertised as a romance, but that didn't stop all the theories about him and lesbianism. The other is Kuya, who was actually funny but got shafted to the side alongside Kai eventually. On a related note to him, the orientation of the characters is another part of the series that is made unclear on purpose to lure viewers in who theorize about what I mentioned earlier. Then there is a mysterious kid, which is something that PA Works often does in their projects. They put in a mysterious character that is mostly pointless and is there just to add mystery. But maybe that spirit was always there, since it was implied it's what caused the visions. Though it's still tragic that this spirit had zero development. The animation can be very nice, but the music is forgettable. It's sad to say that one of the few things that stood out was the background art. The story is deeply rooted with what life working in an aquarium is like, but viewers will learn a lot about what it is and means to be an attendant. It isn't boringly educational, it is interesting at least. Subtly, however, Kukuru's life and struggle is often portrayed through the marine life. In relation to penguins, there is the quote, "Someone who courageously takes on risks, like the first penguin that jumps into the water regardless of circumstances. It can be terrifying to be the first person to challenge something new, but once you do, the others will follow." A first penguin has strengths within them to have a positive impact on the people around them. Afterwards, Kukuru reassures the viewers after this quote that is about her is revealed by adding, "Someday, I want to have the courage to challenge myself to something new." I made those with that in mind. Though this is all good and well about her, it will be terribly executed in most of the second core until the series picks itself back up around episode 20. Fuka is a failed idol who ran away from facing disgrace at home. She runs into Kukuru and the two become best friends. Fuka joins Kukuru in the Gama Gama and it eventually catches on as an attendant. Their story of friendship and support is all the series really had going after it abandoned the aquarium fantasy aspect, since nothing else seemed too interesting for the most part. The second core would flip this, as Kukuru will become the one in need of help. It's a friendship that is about uplifting each other after failures, comforting and supporting, overcoming, and ultimately learning to let go. In the second core, I understand what it is trying to do, but the series drags on far too long with being aimless, and Kukuru doing painfully boring office work. The viewers also felt the pain of how boring and uneventful this part of the series was. Kukuru would go into marketing, which obviously wasn't something she'd be good at for a while, since the lack of that skill is why she couldn't raise money for new equipment for the Gama Gama. This was a futile attempt in the end to save it anyways. As ridiculous as it sounds, she just needed training that for whatever reason she didn't get. As a result, her boss, that hilariously calls her Plankton, treats her harshly and expects a lot from her. Her boss is a man that, though appears mean, is sincere and passionate about running aquariums, and the rest of the staff don't have too much of an issue with him. Regardless, his development was terribly done, and he felt awkward and hollow. T-1000 has more emotion than him. Kukuru struggles and ultimately gives up, as he never lowers his standards of her, and always expects the best no matter how much he sees her struggling or coming up with bad ideas. She abandons her job and he still doesn't fire her. After some soul searching and support from Fuka, Kukuru overcomes her flaws and comes back stronger. I myself wanted to give up after episode 19, and it took me weeks to catch up to episodes 21 through 22. Amusingly enough, I grew up as a child, often being taken to the same aquarium many times over those years. Going in, I always appreciated the aquatic life, how mysterious and beautiful it was, and the excitement of the exhibit where you could get a feel of the sea stars, the orchids, etc. Because of this anime, I went back recently after so many years, and this series made me appreciate it a whole lot more. I stared at the huge tanks, remembered this series, and went through the memories of being there as a child. Fortunately, it was these recent episodes that made the series much more enjoyable by this point. Now that the unnecessarily long, work is hard and painful arc is over, with the terrible, just slave away, you be rewarded someday message, it moves back into Fuka and Kukuru learning to let go, as they have finally found some balance in their lives, partly thanks to their own friendship. Fuka had already accepted this, but Kukuru still struggled to at first. Previously, this had led to Kukuru running away to a nearby aquarium where the sea turtles were about to hatch. I'm sure she saw herself in those turtles where only 1 in 5,000 make it, as they struggled towards their own goals of reaching the sea. The ending was underwhelming and mostly didn't feel like one, but at least it was a bit enjoyable. Besides how emotionally satisfying that meetup was at the end, nothing else really felt meaningful, relevant, or that it really mattered, as most of this series felt that way. Thank you for listening.